movies. Everyone loves them. Everyone's got movies they love and everyone's got movies they hate, but everyone can agree that movies are great. What people also love, video games. Video games are great. But when you look at the kind of PS2 era to kind of like the Wii, GameCube era, there was a lot of video games that were based on movies. So you'd have a movie come out made by a studio like DreamWorks or Pixar, or Disney, and they would have a movie release and then they would have a video game release alongside that. Take Cars the video game, for example. When Cars came out on June 9th, 2006, but 3 days before, on June 6th, 2006, Cars the video game released for the Wii, Xbox, and many other consoles as well. This isn't the only example. This can also be seen with Toy Story, it can be seen with B-Movie, and loads of ones like that. So I kind of want to look at the ones that I've got in my collection. Now most of these are going to be animated ones because they don't naturally make an Interstellar video game or an Inception, like things like that. They don't do things like that. Another thing before we go into this is I'm not going to be like looking at games such as like Epic Mickey, where it's a film character in an original game. I'm looking at games which are specifically based on one movie. So here we go, let's get started. So why not start off with the Cars games? Now, considering Cars is a classic from the noughties era, there are a lot of Cars video games. Now, the first one that comes to mind is Cars from 2006. This is the one I just mentioned. This one released on the Wii, which is the one I have it on. It also released on the Xbox and PlayStation and whatnot. And this one is, as you would expect, a racing game. Now, this wasn't the only one to... The original wasn't the only one to get a film. Cars Toons also got a video game. So did Cars 2, which is probably the best one. And Cars 3 Driven to Win was also another one. So the original was just kind of a normal 3D racing game. It was a lot like Mario Kart. There was a couple mini games hidden there. It was a fun little innocent game. I enjoyed it. Big part of my childhood. But an even bigger part of my childhood was Cars 2, the video game. A lot of people didn't like that film because it had the spy elements and like guns and things. However, when you incorporate guns into a racing video game, there can be a lot of fun there. And they just upped the ante with this. The tracks were a lot better. It was just a lot like better character roster. It was just more fun to play, smoother controls. So I really, really did enjoy that one as well. Cars 3 Driven to Win is the most recent one and probably the last one we're going to get, at least as of yet. And this one's a really good one as well. It's got a really good graphics, a lot of mini game options with also racing as well. And just a really great campaign, which I have actually completed. And normally with these games, I don't really like to complete the campaigns because it's kind of a bit of a waste of time. But this one, really, really great campaign, I must admit. So really great little set of Cars games there. There's also the Mater National. There's the Cars Toon one and the Raceway one as well. I haven't played those ones. I've heard good things about them, but I haven't got around to playing with them yet. However, let's keep going. B-Movie, a film that everyone loves. Maybe not everyone, but B-Movie is a film, and they released a video game for it called B-Movie Game. Now, this released on the Wii, Xbox as well, I believe, and a few other ones. Most of these ones I do have on the Wii, just because that is like the console I had during this era. And B-Movie the game is not a great game. If I'm honest, I used to kind of spend my time in the hub world and then never touch this game again. So it's a bit of a racing game. It's also a shooter. You kind of play through the movie. And there's like speedways. There's also mini games. And there's competitive arcade games. Things like that. And you can fly around and you can like fly through the city and fly through like the tennis court and tunnels and whatnot. And then you get those like honey guns that are in the film where they used to collect the pollen. And you can like shoot other characters with them. Things like that. It's a very cheap game. This one, you do notice it a lot. A lot of these games' graphics aren't great. They are just cheap. This one's it's okay. It's fine. It's not a great game by any means. In fact, it's not even a good game. It just exists. I'd probably never play it again, but I own it. It's an alright game, so there you go. Marvel have also had their fair share of video games based on movies. I only own a few of them. I know there was a lot of the Tobey Maguire ones. They did the Amazing Spider-Man ones as well. I have played the first Amazing Spider-Man one. This one is pretty good, to be fair. It's definitely the growing pains of Spider-Man games, kind of swinging around and stuff. It's fun, it's good. You play through the film. Definitely could have been a better one though. Like, the graphics aren't great considering they did have a bit of a higher budget with this one. Another one they did was Spider-Man 3. This is one I got. They did do 1 and 2. This is not great. I just don't know what happened here. The controls are so off. The graphics look even worse somehow. The voice acting, yeah, you've got Tobey Maguire and J.K. Simmons in there. But all in all, this is not a great one at all. This is really disappointing. The swinging was just so off in this one. There was also X-Men Origins Wolverine. This actually got 2 versions. One of them on the Xbox that was really gory, and then one on the Wii that was kind of less gory. Both of them are great. I actually think the Wii one is better because it incorporates more platforming. It's more fun in some way. I just enjoy this type of game a little bit more, and just hunting people down and stuff. Really, really fun. An underrated game. Graphics, yeah, might not be great, but it didn't have any right to be as good as it was. Sega, the people behind the Sonic games, also made an Iron Man game. A game based on the 2008 Iron Man film, and it's pretty good. I'd say it's just in the middle between Spider-Man 3 and Origins Wolverine. I mean, Origins Wolverine was a bad film, don't get me wrong, but the game was a lot better. So it kind of just flies in the middle. It's okay, gameplay's alright, definitely could have been better, but I don't know, it's still good. Another one that exists is Kung Fu Panda, the video game. Now, I love the Kung Fu Panda movies. I only own one, which is the original Kung Fu Panda, the video game one. And this is one of those ones where I just couldn't connect with those controls. Those mechanics were really, really tricky on the Wii. And I had it on like really hard difficulty as well. And just those two things just did not mix very well. It's still fun though. I like it. They got Jack Black in there. It's, the gameplay is, if you play it on the right console, you can get some fun out of it. There's definitely some good action in there and platforming and things like that. It's a fun game. If you are a fan of Kung Fu Panda, much like myself, there is some enjoyment to get out of it. But this is really one of those ones where it really comes down to what console you play it on. Motion controls don't work great with this one, so really don't go into that too much, but it's all in all, it's okay. It's good, but not amazing. Another one is Transformers. So I own 2 Transformers video games based on the movies. I own the original one and Revenge of the Fallen. Say what you want to say about the Transformers films. The first one was a great game. It actually was not bad. The budget, you could just tell they really did as best as they could. The transforming, the action is actually pretty fun, and I get some good enjoyment out of it whenever I play it. It's definitely not one I've progressed that long into, just because it's not the type of game I'm that crazy about. But whenever I put it on, I'm pleasantly surprised by how fun it can actually be. So I enjoyed this one. Revenge of the Fallen, I haven't played that much of this one, but still fun, not amazing. It definitely wasn't as good as the first one, I don't think. And as a film as well, it wasn't great. So, I don't know. It was what it was, but it definitely could have been a lot better than it was. Also, Lego games have got their fair share of video game movies, where there is the Lego Movie, the video game. This one I did complete, and I actually think is a really, really great game. Just the character roster is great, and I love Lego games, and I love the Lego Movie. So when you put those two together, you get a match made in heaven. Really, really fun. The characters just have different powers and abilities, which are all helpful for different situations. So really enjoyed this one. I thought the level design was great. Got a lot of fun out of this one, but a massive downgrade. Lego Movie 2, the video game, was a mess. It might be the worst Lego game. I just don't know. The whole building mechanic was just, it was pretty mid, and just the gameplay as well. They just tried to try something new, which didn't work with the formula. And the film was fine. It wasn't great. It was good, but definitely disappointing sequel. So when you put those two together, it's not quite a match made in heaven. However, another one that they did was Lego Incredibles. Now, this was a one where it released for Incredibles 2, and it was a mix between the first Incredibles game and the second Incredibles game, where you play through both movies. And once again, Lego works their magic. It's fun, it's upbeat. I really love the first two Incredible films, so being able to play through them and just seeing how wonderfully brought to life and how much love and care was actually put into this really meant a lot to me. So I really did enjoy this one as well. Now, you may not remember, but back in 2016, Sony kind of tried to reboot and introduce Ratchet & Clank to a newer generation. So they did a Ratchet & Clank game, and then they did a movie, and the game was based on the movie. Very complicated stuff there. And the movie received very bad reviews. I didn't mind it. I thought it was a fun animated adventure, and I'm a really big fan of Ratchet & Clank. As for the game, it's not the best Ratchet & Clank game. It's definitely, the mechanics aren't quite as good and the graphics aren't the greatest. However, it's still a really, really fun game, and when I did play through it, I did have an absolute blast with it. So it's not a bad game by any means. It's just a retelling of the first one. I think a lot of people just struggled to accept that this was aimed at a newer generation. And I could accept that, but a lot of people just kind of thought it was an unfaithful recreation, and people were expecting too much for a remake or a remaster of the original, which wasn't what this was trying to be. It was trying to be something new, something fresh, just a reboot, which anyone could enjoy. And I think in some regard it did its job. They didn't really keep their promise, because they kind of didn't keep doing these games. I mean, we've got Rift Apart, but that's the last one we've had since, so yeah. It's good, but not amazing. It's just in the middle, but definitely one of the better ones that we're talking about today. Finally, the final one I'm going to talk about today is The Simpsons game. Now, this one released in 2007 alongside The Simpsons movie, and this one you don't exactly play through the movie or anything like that. You just kind of play through different Simpsons episode levels, like the one where Homer's in the chocolate fantasy and things like that. I like this one. This one was actually a really big part of my childhood, and I would get a long way through this one and then get stuck. It's probably one I would like to just do a full playthrough through. Maybe if you want to see me do that, let me know down below in the comments. But you get to play as Homer, Bart, Lisa, Maggie, and Marge, and they've all got the different abilities. Like Homer can turn into a fat dough ball. Bart can turn into Bartman. Lisa can control people's minds and things with there's one where she's controlling trees and things for the sake of the environment, and then Marge and Maggie can control a mob of people and get your own mini army. So it's a fun, innocent game. My only issue is the camera is really bad and it's really clunky. You're constantly fighting with the camera so you can see the screen. However, still really great game. So that's all the games I'm going to look at, and I definitely did miss a few because I just haven't played them or I don't own them. I know there's an Avatar game, and I know there's many other Marvel based ones and loads of other animated ones. I know there's a Megamind one, there's loads of Smurf ones and things like that. These are just the ones I managed to pick up and get. And what to take away from this video, none of these games are really masterpieces, but you've got to accept that they did make up such a big part of so many people's childhoods, like myself. And I really miss the days where we'd get a movie come out and then a video game would come alongside it, and you were lucky enough to be able to do both, see the movie and get the game. It was just a time to be alive, and I really do wish we could go back to that time. But I think these are not great games when you look at them, but as a child, there's so much enjoyment to get out of them. And some of them are underrated gems. The Cars games are great. Really like the Simpsons game. And then there's ones like B-Movie game that just exactly what you think they're going to be, which isn't great. However, that is all for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and let me know down below what video game movies did you grow up with, and what ones were you, or not video game movies, video games did you grow up with and were you in love with, and all that fun stuff. But that is all for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.